Alright, so I'm testing out my video camera on my laptop with the sound. I just figured out how to fix it up to where it sounds better than with the laptop. Kind of new to all this thing. But I was trying to find something somewhere, prophecies about where we're headed. And it seems like most of the prophecies that you'll hear are going to be prophecies of everything's going to get better. 21 is going to be better than the 2020 was. But I just want to share a dream I had and kind of give you what I've come up with to understand in it and what I still really don't know for sure in it. I'm not sure exactly when I had the dream. How long ago would you say it's been, honey? Last month. So it's been about a month ago. Yeah, it was during the December time. Election and everything. And a lot of prophecies going on about that and about Trump. And one night I had a dream, has nothing to do with Trump whatsoever. It started off, I was in a house, in a building, and I was looking in this door. And in the door was a crowd of people, a bunch of people. And to me, in the dream, it represented life as it's going on right now. A lot of chaos. Things not looking good. And I didn't like what I saw. And I was just thinking to myself, is it going to get any better than this? And I say any better, I mean, are we going to get better? We've gone through the virus, we've been going through all these different things, and you hear the new norm, and is things going to go back to the way they were? Is things going to get better? I just kept wondering this. So the next thing you know, I'm in that same doorway, kind of like, but it's gone to another level. It's gone up. And it's a room, and there is a long table going all the way off to the side of what I can see. I can't see the entrance to where that table was. I can just see the table running along and going to the other end, and light coming in from apparently it would be a door on the other end is what I'm figuring. Not sure. I just know I'm staying at one door. The table goes oblong that way in the middle of the room till I can't see it no more. And across from me, at the other side of the table, I'm staying on this corner. He's staying on that corner, right straight in front of me. Was what I knew to be an angel. Didn't have no wings of that nature, but I knew it was an angel. And I just looked at him. I said, "Is it going to get any better?" And he said, "From December to December." And of course, I understood what he was saying. The answer was no. I said, "Is it going to get any better?" He said something like, "From November to November." And man, I just kept wanting to hear some kind of confirmation of, yes, it's going to get better. So I asked him a third time. I said, "Is it going to get better?" And he said, "From Juvember." Which I always understood there is no such thing as Juvember. In other words, it's just simply not going to. I understood clearly what he was saying to me without him saying it in just straight English. So he was basically saying, no, it's not going to get better. Things are going to get worse, apparently. So directly after that, I'm back in the hallway. And my father comes up to me and hands me a towel. I'm like, "Why are you handing me a towel?" And he said, "You need to take a shower." I'm like, "No, I just took a shower. I'm clean. I don't need to take a shower." And I was getting ready to tell him about what had just happened, what I'd just seen. And it was like I couldn't speak. My voice my tongue was just tied. I could not tell him what I wanted to tell him. It just wasn't meant for me to tell him. The next scene, and it's like it's going from scenes to scene in this dream. It was like one scene to the next scene to the next scene. So the next scene I had was there was a black lady in the car with us, and I don't know who us was. I just knew I and other people. And she was wanting to go back home, which to her back home was going back to Africa. And so we was driving in a car, and we drove up, and on each side of the road was a lot of different artifacts. They were African in nature, African artifacts. And I said, we're here, you're home. And, you know, we was excited for her, and she was excited. And we let her out, and that was the end of that dream. As soon as she got out of the car, that was the end of that part of the dream. And the next thing you know, I'm in a different area. I'm up in the air. You know, I'm not looking at myself, can't see myself. I just know that I'm up in the air. And I'm looking at this, like, hay, grass type of land. It's not real tall, but it's a, you know, a dark, grassy, brown grass land, which goes off an embankment and into a river. And I knew it went into a river, but I can't remember if I actually saw the river itself. I just knew the embankment went down over and into a river. And there was this circle. You know, imagine this is my vision of everything, and that's the ground here. And there's a circle that keeps coming across like this. Well, every time the circle gets in front of my eye, or eyes, at the edge of that embankment, I could see a building, a tall building. It was an older building. It wasn't your modern day buildings. It was an older hut, a couple of stories high. I could see it in there. Then it'd go across, and it wasn't there. I could just see the ground. It'd come back. I could see the building sitting there again. It'd go back across again, and I didn't see it anymore. Somehow I understood that this opening was an opening into the past. I could see a building right there beside the bank, just in front of the bank, near the river. And I know I was looking back in time. There was a time when there had been a building there, but there's not a building there anymore now. Building's gone. So then it went from that scenery to where I'm outside of a building, outside of a downtown area, and it's nighttime, and it's just like what you'd see in a apocalyptic scenery. Cars turned over on their sides and everything. It's just chaos everywhere. And there was about 3 other people with me, and one of them I knew was either a demon or demonic. One sense or the other, he was evil and demonic in nature. And there was change on the ground, mostly pennies more than anything else. And I knew, it's funny in this thing, some things I knew, I just automatically knew. I knew that the money that was set up in these rows on the road, it was on the road. We were standing on the road, car turned over on its side. You could see the bottom side of it, and pennies running across the street in some ways, and some scattered everywhere. That was a boundary, and using those boundaries, the change, especially pennies, it seems like I'm thinking that the lower the value on the natural side of it, the stronger the boundary was. So, in other words, a quarter had a certain amount of boundary power, but the penny had the most power to put boundaries around where the enemy couldn't get in. The demonic influences couldn't get in. And people had been using it. They weren't there anymore at that time, but the money was on the ground. And I'm trying to grab as much of it as I can, stick it in my pockets before the other one that's with me was trying. I was afraid he was going to try and get as much as he could to stop the boundaries from happening, to keep those boundaries, to make it to where there's not as much able to bind them and hold them back. And so that was the dream. So, like I said, the one thing I could take away from it that really bothered me is the fact that I wanted to hear so much to say, yeah, there's going to be a time it's going to get better for at least a little while. Things are going to get better. They're not going to get worse. Never heard that. That was not what was told me. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. When I say worse, I mean worse in the sense that people are going to get more evil. Times are going to get more darker during these days. Of course, we know ultimately God's coming back. Jesus is coming back. But I was talking about in this age, at this time of life, in this earth age, so to speak. In other words, are we in the time where things are just going to continue to get worse and worse and worse? Are we headed into the Great Tribulation or the Tribulation period? Are we going to see any more prosperity, or is everything just going to get worse and worse? And the answer to me was just no. 3 times I asked, and the only answer I got was no. The rest of it, I have some ideas. I don't know exactly what it all means. I can conjecture some ideas behind it. I the boundary lines. I understand that. God puts boundaries for us. God puts walls out there for us. Guardian angels. His flaming sword. His hedge of protection. So many different things you can say about God's protection for his people. But a lot of that, I still don't know exactly what that means. I just know that I was looking online to try and find some prophecies of other prophets. Or I'm not saying other prophets as if I'm a prophet, but what I saw in my dream. I'm just trying to hear if there's any prophecies of things aren't going to get better, they're going to get worse. Because most of what I'm hearing, 2021, the better year for you. Or things are going to get better, or great revival. And I'm not saying that revival won't happen, but it's not going to be in the same sense as it's been in the past, like the Great American Revival, when the whole nation just, was in revival. Any kind of revival there's going to be in the end times is going to be kind of reaching out, because it said the gospel will go out to all nations. But persecution will increase also, so that's going to be in times of trouble. Great trouble. So that's my dream. And like I said, I've looked, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because last night I did hear one person, and I was like, finally, I heard somebody who said the same thing that I heard, or is telling me the same thing I heard in my dream, and that was a Messianic Jew that we listen to sometimes, who I feel really comfortable about. He's sincere in what he talks about. He doesn't go over the top and all kinds of things, but he just says it straight and clear. He does a lot of missionary trips to other countries. He's dealt with a lot of different things, but you can tell he's genuine and sincere in what he says. And what he was saying is, all these prophets you hear saying these things about things getting better, or you're trying to focus too much on the political aspect of things, or to get things back to where it's going to be before, and it's not going to happen. We're not going to see that. Well, that's what I've been told. And so when he was saying that, it was kind of a confirmation for me, because you're not hearing that a lot online today. And so That's what I've heard. There's some things in there I don't fully understand. Um, if you want to leave some comments or anything of that nature, please feel free to do so. I just thought I would share that with you and hope you can get something out of the dream. The Lord will show you something. But anyway, God bless. Have a good evening. Good night.